Americans consume around 50 billion burgers every year. That averages out to 3 burgers a week for every person in the country. If you lined up an entire year's worth of those patties end to end, the chain would circle the earth over 32 times. The burger stands as the undisputed anchor of the modern drive-thru menu and a globally recognized symbol of American culture. Yet the history of this iconic American food actually began on another continent entirely. Its earliest ancestor was a rough slab of minced meat, packed with coarse salt and eaten raw as a survival ration for 19th century German sailors. The journey from a primitive maritime survival ration to a perfectly engineered multi-billion-dollar industrial product is truly a story of total standardization. The timeline starts in the 1800s in the port city of Hamburg, Germany. As a massive European maritime hub, the city was a crossroads for transient labor. The sailors running the docks and the factory workers powering the city's working-class engine needed serious calories. They required a protein source that was cheap to acquire, filling enough to sustain a 12-hour shift, and resistant to spoiling. Local butchers provided a highly utilitarian answer, the Hamburg Steak. By taking the cheapest, toughest cuts of beef, mincing them to break apart muscle fibers, and packing them with salt, they created a meat patty that was chewable and shelf-stable for long voyages. This original version served a purely biological purpose. Eating a greasy slab of meat required a plate and a fork, meaning the customer had to stop working and sit down to eat. The tipping point for this problem arrived at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. The fair's sprawling layout meant attendees were constantly on the move to see the next exhibit. Hundreds of food vendors were jammed together, trying to serve thousands of moving targets. They needed a way for people to buy their food and eat it on the go without returning a plate. Vendors eventually decided to smash the hot meat between 2 thick slices of bread, creating a form of edible packaging. This simple mechanical upgrade solved the mobility problem, inadvertently setting the physical foundation for the entire fast food industry. Even with the bun, the burger struggled with its reputation. For decades, the public viewed it as unsanitary street meat sold from questionable carts. In 1921, a Kansas restaurant called White Castle tackled this image problem. They built their diners with gleaming white porcelain and stainless steel, designing them to look like spotless laboratories to win back consumer trust. With the product sanitized and the post-World War II economic boom underway, Richard and Maurice McDonald took the final step in 1948. They dismantled their traditional drive-in restaurant and rebuilt the kitchen from scratch. They removed waitresses, scrapped all silverware, and eliminated custom orders. Instead, they applied Henry Ford's automotive assembly line logic directly to food preparation. One person grilled, another dressed the bun, and another wrapped. This divided labor allowed them to produce massive volumes of strictly identical food at staggering speeds. This shift turned the hamburger into an industrial product, one optimized for massive scale rather than individual preparation. When entrepreneur Ray Kroc visited the McDonald Brothers restaurant, he recognized that this exact assembly line system could be infinitely replicated. Kroc bought the rights to the system and began franchising it, scaling this rigid manufacturing model from a single operation in California to every corner of the globe. It took less than a century to take a salted sailor's ration, add portable bread packaging, and apply the relentless efficiency of a factory production line. The result is a highly engineered object, the ultimate edible manifestation of American industrial capitalism. To buy a fast food burger today is to participate in a century-old, ruthlessly efficient system that sets the standard for modern convenience.